Welcome back to the deep dive. So, we're always taught that the brakes, they're your number one safety device.
Absolutely. Stop the car, stay safe. It's the first thing you learn.
But what if I told you the accelerator pedal, the throttle, is maybe the most nuanced, critical tool you have for actual stability and control out on the road?
It's a complete shift in perspective. And that's what we've done here. We've pulled the key insights on mastering accelerator control. And it's not just for going fast, it's for efficiency,
And
safety.
just keeping the car stable.
Exactly. Our mission today is to really give you that shortcut to being well-informed on advanced throttle techniques and, maybe more importantly, those critical safety protocols.
Right. We're moving beyond just, pedal to the metal. We're trying to answer those deeper questions, like how do professional drivers really apply the throttle? What's going on under the hood when you feel that weird electronic delay?
And the big one, what do you do? What's that instant critical protocol if the gas pedal just decides not to cooperate?
Because that throttle control it's like a hidden layer of traction management, isn't it?
It is. If you manage that input correctly, you improve stability, just manage wear and tear on the car, and you cut your risk way down, especially on, say, a slippery road or in a sudden maneuver.
It's the difference between forcing the car and guiding it.
That's a perfect way to put it, guiding it with precision.
Okay, so let's unpack this from the ground up. The core principle for pretty much every advanced driving technique is smoothness. But what does smooth actually feel like? How do you measure it?
That's the key question. Smoothness is a complete lack of jarring movement. It's the absence of any abrupt transition.
So no sudden lurches.
None. A great practical rule of thumb from our sources is this. You should never cause the nose of the car to pitch up or dip down sharply. If you feel an input that results in more than about 0.2 Gs of acceleration, you're almost certainly being too aggressive.
And that's burning excess fuel, right?
Yeah.
You're putting strain on the car.
Huge strain on the drivetrain, on the engine mounts, everything. That's a fantastic metric to keep in mind. If you're stopping the pedal, you're just generating maximum waste and stress.
So avoiding rapid acceleration isn't just about saving a bit of gas.
Oh, not at all. I mean, the material confirms flooring. It is a massive waste of fuel, but it's really about protecting the components. Every harsh input stresses the transmission clutches, the engine itself, even the tires. Smoothness equals longevity.
And passenger comfort.
And passenger comfort. There's a reason taxi drivers can get such incredibly high mileage out of their vehicles. They live by this principle.
And this smoothness has to integrate with the brakes. You can't think about the accelerator in a vacuum, can you?
Never. It's all one cohesive system. This is where you have to adopt anticipatory driving habits.
Thinking ahead.
Thinking way ahead. When you see an upcoming stoplight or a curve in the road, you should be easing off the gas completely well before you ever need to touch the brake pedal.
Right. Let the engine do some of the work.
Exactly. That period of engine braking or coasting uses zero fuel. It gently reduces your speed, and it lets you transition to the brake pedal with far less abruptness. You avoid those jarring stops.
So it sounds like efficiency isn't just about driving slow. It's about low input and smart coasting.
That's it. We call this modulating your throttle input. On the highway, you want steady, constant pressure, not these tiny little adjustments up and down, up and down.
And in the city?
In stop-and-go traffic, the goal is to anticipate 2, maybe 3 cars ahead. You adjust your pace a little at a time to avoid ever coming to a full, harsh stop, because that's the biggest fuel drain of all.
Getting a 2-ton vehicle moving from a dead stop.
Exactly. The energy required is enormous.
Okay, here's where the data gets really practical for someone who's, trying to squeeze every last mile out of a gallon. Let's talk numbers, specifically RPMs.
This is critical for fuel consumption. You have to monitor the engine's RPM gauge, the tachometer, and actively avoid excessive revving.
So what's the sweet spot?
The goal is to keep the engine in its most efficient torque range. Now, this depends on the vehicle, but typically it's cited as being between, say, 1,500 and 2,500 RPMs.
And if you're pushing past that?
You're pushing 4,000 RPM just to accelerate a tiny bit faster. You've left that efficiency zone completely. You're just burning fuel for noise at that point.
And here's a tip that really involves changing an old habit, idling. I can remember my dad warming up the car for like 10 minutes in the winter.
Oh, yeah, everyone did that.
And that habit is now literally costing you money, right?
It absolutely is. That old habit of warming up or even just idling at a long red light, it's a fuel killer. Modern electronic fuel injection is so precise that if you think you're going to be stopped for more than about 60 seconds,
Like at a long light or a train crossing?
exactly, you should just turn the engine off. The data is crystal clear. The tiny bit of fuel used to restart the car is way less than the fuel you'd burn idling for 2 minutes.
And for the folks still driving a manual transmission, the message is simple but effective.
What?
Shift up.
Upshift as quickly as you can without lugging the engine. A high gear at a low, steady RPM is the very definition of cruising efficiency. You're using the engine's torque intelligently and minimizing the need for it to rev too high.
So we've covered the art of the perfect input, but sometimes, even when we're perfectly smooth, the car just doesn't seem to respond instantly. And that lag must be rooted in how the pedal is actually built, right?
Yeah.
What changed when we moved from simple cables to computers?
That gets us right into throttle lag.
Uh,
That little hesitation you feel can be, just annoying when you're trying to merge.
that can also be a safety issue.
It can be a critical safety concern when you need that immediate power.
So what's causing this delay in these? I mean, these are expensive, high-tech, modern cars. Is it always a mechanical problem, like a dirty throttle body or maybe turbo lag?
Well, those can definitely be contributing factors for sure. But in most modern cars, believe it or not, the lag is actually intentional.
Wait,
It's a fundamental function of the drive-by-wire system and the engine control unit, the ECU. The ECU is deliberately filtering your foot's input. It doesn't take what your foot does as instant gospel.
so the car is fighting me. Why on earth would a manufacturer program in a delay that compromises an immediate response?
It sounds counterintuitive, I know. But the ECU filters that signal for a few really critical reasons. The first one is powertrain protection.
Protecting the car from the driver.
In a way, yes. A sudden harsh stomp on the pedal could damage a delicate automatic transmission or cause a really violent gear shift. So the ECU smooths that transition to protect the whole drivetrain.
Okay, that makes some sense. What else?
The second is input noise filtering. Our foot inputs, they're never perfectly steady, especially if you hit a pump. The ECU averages your input over milliseconds to deliver a smooth, constant signal.
And I'm guessing the third has to do with those drive modes.
You got it. Mode tuning. If you're in eco mode, the ECU is literally programmed to inject mandatory lag to enforce fuel efficiency, even if you try to floor it. That kind of electronic delay just didn't exist in the old cable systems.
And that distinction is crucial. Before all this, we had a simple physical connection, a cable.
Right, the traditional throttle system. They used a pedal linkage, usually a mechanical cable or a rod, that directly connected your pedal to the throttle body valve on the engine.
You press the pedal, the cable pulls, air goes in. Simple.
Simple, reliable, but not very precise. And you couldn't integrate it with modern things like stability control.
And drive-by-wire or DBW just throws that all out the window.
Completely replaces it.
Yeah.
In a DBW system, the accelerator pedal is just a housing for an electronic sensor. When you press it, that sensor sends a tiny voltage signal to the ECU.
And the ECU, it thinks about it.
It analyzes that voltage, decides how much air the engine actually needs based on your speed, your gear, the engine mode, and then it sends a command to an electronic actuator that physically opens the throttle valve.
So there's no physical connection at all between your foot and the engine's air intake.
None whatsoever.
The precision sounds great for efficiency and all the new safety systems, but if the whole thing relies on code and sensors, doesn't that introduce a whole new kind of risk that a simple cable never had?
It absolutely does. That's the trade-off. The advantage is optimized fuel economy and incredibly precise control. But the disadvantage is that you are now relying heavily on complex electronics.
And if those electronics fail,
If a sensor or the actuator or the ECU itself malfunctions, the risk shifts entirely to electronic failure, which can have really serious and unpredictable consequences for your throttle control.
and speaking of those integrated systems, how does cruise control fit into this whole electronic architecture?
Cruise control is the perfect example of the ECU just taking over completely. It uses that same drive-by-wire actuator to maintain a perfectly steady speed. It eliminates all of your foot's little twitches.
All that input noise you mentioned.
Exactly. Ensuring constant velocity for maximum fuel efficiency on long drives. And of course, the second you tap the brake, the system instantly disconnects and gives control back to you. But it's always through that electronic chain of command.
Okay, let's shift focus to the really critical stuff, the immediate safety concerns. What happens when the pedal misbehaves? Let's talk about the life-threatening scenario of a sticking accelerator pedal.
Right. This is a major safety event where panic is your worst enemy. It has to be overridden by instant, clear action. The sources all agree on a non-negotiable protocol.
First step.
First, try to stay calm. Assess if you can safely and gently tap or wiggle the pedal with your foot to free it. Maybe a floor mat has just gotten wedged under there.
But if that doesn't work, you move to the critical action.
Immediately.
Hmm.
And that step is shifting to neutral.
Why is that step, disengaging the engine, more critical than just standing on the brakes?
Because if that throttle is stuck wide open and you're still in drive, the engine is fighting you. It's generating maximum power. Trying to use the brakes against that massive force can lead to them overheating, fading, and eventually failing completely.
Especially at high speed.
Especially at high speed. So the critical, immediate step is to shift the car into neutral, the N on your shifter.
And that immediately disconnects the engine from the wheels. The engine might roar like crazy, but the car is no longer accelerating.
Precisely. Now you're just coasting. Once you're in neutral, you can use the brakes safely and gently to slow down, get your hazard lights on, and steer over to the side of the road.
And only then do you think about turning off the engine.
Only once you are safely stopped.
Ah,
And we have to advise some caution there.
right. Because turning off the engine kills your power steering and power brakes.
Yes, be very aware of that. The steering wheel will suddenly feel incredibly heavy, and the brake pedal will require a lot of physical force to push. Only turn the engine off once you're safely pulled over and at a complete stop. And then, do not drive that vehicle again until a professional has fixed it.
Okay, let's talk about a less dramatic but still really troubling issue. A pedal that suddenly feels stiff or just unresponsive, like a glitch.
That stiffness or unresponsiveness, especially in a modern drive-by-wire car, almost always signals an electronic or a sensor issue, not a physical jam.
So the protocol is similar.
Similar. Stay calm, check for any obvious physical obstructions, and safely pull over. But since this is often related to temporary electronic confusion, the best troubleshooting tip is to safely turn the engine off completely.
And turn it back on again, the classic IT solution.
The classic reset for the engine control unit. Restarting the engine allows the ECU to cycle through all its self-diagnostic checks. Often, a temporary sensor conflict that caused the stiffness will just clear itself on a clean restart.
What if it doesn't?
If the problem persists right after restarting, or if it happens again a minute down the road, that means you have a fundamental problem. A faulty throttle body actuator, a bad sensor. Something that needs immediate professional attention.
No, for the mystery that I think confuses a lot of drivers, especially people new to automatic cars,
Yeah.
why is my car moving when I'm not even touching the accelerator?
Ah, yes, the creep. This phenomenon, sometimes called idle speed movement, is usually entirely normal. It's caused mainly by the torque converter in an automatic transmission.
And what's that doing?
It's a fluid coupling that's always transferring a small amount of power from the idling engine to the wheels. It's what allows the car to slowly roll forward at idle, and it's why you have to keep your foot on the brake at a stoplight.
So when should you be concerned? If the movement is more than just a slow creep.
That's when you need to be concerned. If the car is lurching unexpectedly or moving faster than a slow walk, outside of normal creep or just, gravity on a hill, that suggests a problem.
Like what?
It could be a malfunctioning throttle body valve that's letting too much air into the engine, giving it unintended power. Or it could be deeper issues with sensors or the transmission itself. If you can't blame it on creep or gravity, get it inspected immediately.
Finally, let's talk about a physical noise issue. A persistent clicking or some other unusual noise coming from the accelerator pedal itself.
A physical noise coming from the pedal is an immediate red flag. It points toward either mechanical wear or some kind of electronic feedback.
So it depends on the type of system you have.
Exactly. If you have an older mechanical system, that clicking probably points to worn or loose parts in the pedal linkage itself, the connecting rods or the cable.
And if it's a modern drive-by-wire car,
Then the noise is most likely electronic in nature. It could be stemming from the sensor mechanism in the pedal itself, or maybe the small actuators that provide force feedback and regulate the pedal's tension.
so if a quick look doesn't show a loose floor mat or some debris stuck in there, that clicking is a sign that something inside is failing.
It is. Whether it's a simple worn mechanical hinge or a sophisticated electronic sensor that regulates your input, that noise means a component is compromised. If cleaning doesn't fix it, a professional inspection is necessary. You really want to address that before a minor component failure leads to something much more serious. We covered a tremendous amount of ground today, from smooth driving techniques to complex electronics and emergency protocols.
It's all a lot to take in.
It is, but the main takeaways for you are really twofold. First, true vehicle control. It really hinges on those ultra-smooth, gradual inputs. Always anticipate traffic and modulate your throttle.
And second, pay immediate attention to anything unusual, any lag, stiffness, or noise. We now know that even a minor malfunction can lead to unpredictable acceleration and present a serious safety risk because we rely so heavily on these electronic systems.
That's the crucial message. Address malfunctions immediately, don't wait.
And we learned that you can technically drive without the accelerator in an emergency, just relying on momentum and that idle creep.
Yeah.
But you dramatically reduce your control over the vehicle.
Dramatically.
So here's the final thought for you to ponder. Given the incredible precision that's promised by these modern drive-by-wire systems, and knowing now that these systems rely entirely on sensors and filters and lines of code to interpret what your foot wants, how does that level of technological mediation change your trust and your focus the next time you press that pedal to merge onto a busy, fast-moving highway? Something to think about until our next deep dive.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.